Go ahead.
Call the meeting in order. We have a quorum. Reading and approval of the minutes of previous meetings. Motion made and seconded. Additions, corrections, comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Bill, well, you wasn't either. Bill's
No,
communication.
I was on that meeting. It's the.
Special meeting.
Yeah, we're looking at the 16th. Oh, you're looking at the 16th?
I don't know what-
Oh, well, the 16th is the first one, is it not? Or not?
Right, it's
Yes.
regular meeting and special. meeting.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
Bill's communications.
Oh, that's me. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So there's a number of bills as usual. So we have a bill from C&S Companies for $1,019.83. This is related to the Eagle Drive sewer line. We've got Great American Insurance Group. That was $340.50. That's related to the directors and officers insurance that you approved at the last regular meeting.
Basically, can I stop you for a second? Is that a full payment or is that a installment?
For the CNS.
For the, no,
Oh,
no, for
for
the,
the-
you know,
So that's an installment. That's the first,
order?
the total policy is $1,350. So this is a current. There are two Harris Beach bills, with one related to just general services and others related specifically to the Aurelius Park matters. The two of them together totaled $11,445. Would you like the breakdown of the two? General services was $1,625. And the rest was the Aurelius Park matters.
Any of that pushed back to, any of the vendors or anything?
Yeah, and you have the projects.
Projects, thank you.
It's like a lot of attending board meetings, discussion regarding regulatory matters for the water. A lot of this is related to the water, it looks like. Okay. The first bill from MRB Group came through as well, $2,492.50. I like how close I got to the max there without actually hitting it.
Will it be that much every month?
I don't think so. There's a lot of setup going on and working in QuickBooks, and so I think moving forward, it'll be less. As of June 1st, the CCDC loan principal was paid of $400,000. So that was already paid, but wanted to bring it to the group just to inform you that it had been paid. That'll show up on the June balance sheet, not the May one that's in your packet. We also had Revelis, so the staffing services from Michael, totaling $11,127.81, including time and expenses. And then there were 3 pilot payments that had checks had previously been cut, but somehow got lost in the mix. We don't really know what happened. They were never cashed, so we canceled those checks or stopped in on those checks and issued new ones to make sure that everything went out correctly with the correct amounts and got to where they were supposed to go. So those are the last 3 disbursement papers that you'll see there is to the Moravia School District, Cayuga County, and Town of Aurelius for January pilot payments.
Basically, and Mike, were those corrected as a result of the municipalities contacting you or you contacting them, or you finding the issue and fixing it?
Yeah, so let me speak to that item there. As noted from earlier months, we, especially when Tracy stepped in here and was able to, take a look into QuickBooks where I couldn't really confirmed that some of these pilot payments were not accurate. So we jointly reconciled that, noted that checks had been cut for it, and we just issued a stop payment out of caution, even though I think I had one that was in my possession from a couple months ago and, jointly reconciled and made sure that the appropriate payments were set up and have been set out.
So
Yes.
do we know for a fact now that all the pilots, I'm assuming these are the pilots, the January pilots. that They're all taken care of. There's no lingering
Yes,
issues about it.
I double checked all other pilot payments and had Tracy double check my work on that as well. Everything else was set out, cashed and, tied back to the actual calculations themselves. So I think that was the last big cleanup item for the pilot stuff. As Tracy mentioned, big part of her billing over this last month was really getting QuickBooks cleaned up where it should be. Still some outstanding work there, but in a much better position from where it was.
Those QuickBooks, we have that, we don't have that on desk, right? It's online.
It's online.
When I get to just beat this, but more than one person that has passwords to get in.
There is me and just Tracy. I had to switch over Katie as the primary admin, so that took a couple weeks for QuickBooks to approve that, but everything is now properly set up and they're both hooked up to the CCIDA email accounts. So if there's any change whatsoever, it's tied to IDA accounts, nothing personal.
And then as you can see, there was some automatic payments for subscriptions for QuickBooks and Garden Cloud. Those are the last ones. That's it.
Can I take us back to D, please? I'm sorry, I think I might have been trying to
Mhm.
catch up with the invoices and stuff, but the question that John had asked about, can we push some of the expenses to, anyone? Soil and water, I know that they've been part of this conversation. Is that an option? And I'm just asking because I don't know. Water and sewer, thank you. Is that something that they could potentially pick up some of the fees or
I'm not sure.
What were the fees for it?
just asking?
The attorney,
Legal fees related to the water easement.
The water discussion, yeah.
Justin, you pay Justin.
Yep.
Morning. Hello, Justin.
Hey, good afternoon.
Justin, would you say most of those fees were related to water and sewer?
You're talking about that invoice. Yeah, predominantly it was working on the water line project. That was largely driven by water and sewer along West Genesee Road to Bosse's and then working with Bosse's.
No,
for that
easement
easement.
to Bosse's.
Yeah, getting an easement from Bosse's and working on that line that the Water and Sewer Authority was collaborating with us on, and now things have changed and the town's gonna build that lateral on our property.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What are we going off of, Mike? That camera or the,
The camera's going off there, but the audio's going right here.
all right, so I think if you spin it, because they can't hear, if you make it face that way, I think it'll
I tried to put it here so it could be central, everybody.
spin it.
Is there a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion on the bills of communication. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Executive Director's update.
Okay, so you have my written update within the packet, but I also have, a bit of color for those items there. Operationally, as mentioned, I've been working with Tracy and another staff member on her team to get QuickBooks cleaned up in addition to our pilot reconciliation process. Part of that was sending out expiration notices to taxing jurisdictions for pilots that are expiring in the very near future, which includes Finger Lakes Rail and Rollin House. We've completed the setup with DNO insurance as well as cybersecurity. I'm still working on getting a hard drive physical copy to do the backup as well. I did also hear from Tracy via Steve Lynch that there's interest from the county to rent 2 State Street. And part of that will provide access for us to continue storing our files there longer term, which is good. So no immediate rush for us to seek somewhere else to hang our hat at this time. It's
Would it be office space?
not at this time, to my knowledge, but while that larger discussion is had, knowing we were supposed to have a meeting a couple of weeks back, but with the county office building closure, it's put a pin in that for the time being. So still waiting to see how that develops there. Moving on to our projects. We do have Steve on the line, so we'll speak a little more about the sewer later, but we've begun the process with Empire State Development for reimbursement, which is to be submitted once the project is fully completed. And that has always been part of the reimbursement, is only after completion itself. I've received all the documentation to begin compiling those reimbursement
This is the.
items.
small-
Yes, 283,000 on that. Rick, still need to help out with you and Justin related to the dedication agreement and the repayment to CCIDA for $400,000. So we do need to connect on that one there. Regarding the water line, again, no material update here other than CMI and the town have put together an MOU around the water line itself. So they're continuing to work through that. I haven't heard any substantial update from there. They're still continuing to spec out what the line looks like. From my understanding, the milk plant will build it and then dedicate it to the town. So glad to see that's still moving along there. Several site visits have been conducted over the last month, including the Inns of Aurora, Page Trucking, Grover, CMI, Johnson Paper, and FLRR. I'll provide those updates to the board, all of the written ones at the next meeting. I have additional site visits scheduled between now and then that I'll include with that packet there. Site selection here, while our last meeting, there was some pretty good optimism with the property owner up in Weedsport. Unfortunately, that's stalled out once again, which has been the case with this particular owner. We'll still work with them on that, but it's stalled in that process as it is right now. From our current projects, I believe many of you know, Cancer Center opened, which is great to know and hear. That being said, I was unaware of its opening and the ribbon cutting, so
They already had your money.
I know, right?
well, one of the reasons I was a little miffed about that is for any one project to say, if not but for the IDA's involvement, we couldn't do this project. It's important to me that the IDA is present at those events, so other businesses within the community can learn about the IDA. That's,
Don't feel bad, I didn't know about it either.
it's just something I think is important to,
No, you're right, it was important.
so. I didn't call anybody up.
Auburn IDA was there.
Really?
Probably, I don't know. I guess.
Don't start that. You know,
Who do
they,
we call? Who do we?
I knew about it, I just wasn't, right. But
I didn't know nothing about it.
The only way I knew about it is Elaine Daly hurried out of our water store. On a water meeting, because she had a ribbon cutting at the. Other than that, I had no clue what that is. But it's over, so it don't matter now.
exactly, getting beyond that sticking point, glad to see that project come to
Yeah.
fruition and that we
That's good.
had the opportunity to make it possible there, so. Finger Lakes Rail, there's an upcoming meeting actually tomorrow morning with our council and all the other counties involved with that project there. So it's more of a kickoff meeting to see, what is a potential path for a renewed pilot agreement. what
okay,
that
I was
looks
just, I was just gonna ask, because that's not a real pilot, right? That's a different,
It's a 6-county pilot. It
Five,
does
okay.
not work similar to any of our other
right,
pilots.
we're the lead on that, correct? Yeah, we work on behalf of the other counties.
Well, Justin does.
Negotiate.
He's-
Justin does,
He's,
right.
he's, very familiar with
Wow,
it.
it's already already.
I worked on the last one.
Yeah, yeah, remember that.
She knew it was coming up. So,
Okay,
I was surprised it was coming up.
well, it came up quick and when I went over to visit Mike Smith and Veronica Fields, they had shared some, material with me, so they're very interested in and pursuing a new agreement. And later on, likely during the executive session, there's some updates there I'd like to share with the board related to rail in particular. Other potential projects is we're waiting for a completed and anticipated applications from a couple of different entities here, including electrical, renewable, and commercial projects of varying sizes. I met with 2 reps from 2 different mega renewable projects in the Southern Cayuga area down at Venice, Genoa. One is solar, one is wind. Collectively, they're well north of $500 million. One is much closer than the other. With permission of one of them, it's Liberty Renewable. This is a wind project. They'll have up to 22 to 24 wind turbines going between the towns of Venice and Genoa. So I met with representatives of their team last week, and we'll see them again next month, I think, or a couple months from now. So we'll be in touch with them as their project develops. The other one is a bit further down the road as they're continuing to work down on that. But this one has been in development for 5+ years. As I said, a couple of other updates better suited for executive session, but it relates to our mall property in addition to evaluating properties north of us and what attraction efforts we may need to consider. Stakeholders side, I met with our town board of supervisors, the town board for the town of Venice last week. Had a chance to introduce myself, speak about the IDA and what we can do for them. I have reached out to the town board supervisor secretary. I'm waiting to hear back, but do have support to present at some point in the future. And I will let everybody know about that once I hear back from them there. Last item here, you had it in your electronic packet. It's not in your printed one, but I do have a printed copy, is the presentation to the Cayuga County Planning Committee for their July meeting. So I have a draft copy here. Happy to take any feedback, any keep a bit there. So it's being presented in good faith in advance of that meeting there. So that's all I have there, but happy to take any questions.
No, I thought the PowerPoint that you know.
Yes.
Questions for Mike? Thank you. Report of the treasurer.
So we've been doing a lot of work on getting things lined up, as Michael mentioned. Some big things that we've been able to do over the last couple of months have been to confirm the year-end trial balance, so making sure that everything from year-end was correct, which meant correcting a couple of journal entries. One of them was very confusing, so that makes sense. So everything up to year-end is now correct. And then we also were able to get the accrued interest from the CCDC loan that wasn't actually due off of the balance sheet. And as I mentioned, that $400,000 CCDC loan will come off for June. We did add the amounts you're expecting from the Sewer and Water Authority for the dedication and the ESD grant as receivables. So those are now showing as receivables on the sheet. And then on the balance sheet, we've also mostly corrected due to government, although we still have a little bit of work in that. We found $60,000 that was hanging out in there that shouldn't have been there. So the amount that's on that line now is negative $10,522, which is on my to-do list for July to look into and try to figure out that number and get that cleaned up. But that account is very close to being in a good place, and we also are going to work on making sure that that accounts payable is correct, because that seems a little out of whack as well. So those are some of the big ticket items we've been working on. So the balance sheet is in pretty good shape now, with the exception of those two good lines. So you can feel comfortable with what you're seeing here. And then in terms of the profit and loss, you can see there was the annual fee from Finger Lakes Railroad in May. That's the annual $4,000 admin fee. Had about $3,800 worth of interest from your bank accounts. And then basically all the expenses we talked about earlier are in the P&L as expenses. So overall, this is looking good for this year too.
Tracy, can you explain me that due to government?
What
is-
about?
What is?
What is that line?
account? Yeah, what is? that?
So that's the account that we have historically used for pilot payments. That's like the pass through where like when we get a pilot payment and we have to pay it to municipalities, that's where that shows. And there's just something weird in there right now that we need to clean up.
Okay, that's good. All right,
That's what
I
that
get
one
that
is.
one. Okay. My second one is, and I can only imagine when you went on your way from us, smiling, thought this was over, but yet it's not. Is there any way you can get rid of the $10,000.23?
Michael brought this up, so I think we're gonna have to talk to, I think, Rick about this. I think the move is probably to send some sort of notice to Clarity to Connect saying you have until X date to submit for reimbursement, and if not, we're going to return that to the municipality. That came from the town of Niles, so it's not even our money. So I think that's probably where we are to get that off the balance sheet.
All right, that'll be good. That's been there for,
My
Yeah.
first audit with you guys, I had to call Tracy to figure out what that was about. So it's been on there for a long time.
And you just left that.
well, it's been there a while.
Well, it's one of those things, so, but if you'd like to do that, I'm sure Michael and I can work on with the attorneys to get that, some sort of a notice issued for that.
Send them a note, and thanks for your donation, then you find out how fast they find it back. Motion to recruit.
I've got, oh, no, go ahead, you can do this, because I do have something else.
Motion to approve, so we have discussion.
Discussion.
Discuss this, but. Yeah, that's actually regarding banking, so we can.
Yeah, I have something
I
like
can
that, so.
Ask a different question.
Further discussion. All in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Now you can add.
So I do have a different question, Michael. Thank you for following up. I just, if I can, so. We have our money in different banks, and as a municipality, anything over 250,000 has to be collateralized. The bank has to provide collateral against it. And we set up third-party collateral agreements. And for the last couple of months, one of the banks has, instead of us getting the money, the agreement statements or the collateral statements from Federal Home Loan Bank directly, which is the way it should be, it should go from them to us. It has actually been going through to the bank, and then the bank provides it to us. And that's really not the right way to do it. It really isn't. We're being told that Federal Home Loan has a systems problem. This is now 2 months. So if I can ask you to get contact information to Federal Home Loan to see what's going on, what the issue is with their system problems. And this is not an issue. I'm not saying it's an issue for the bank or anybody else, but it just should be done correctly. And that statement should be coming to us directly from Federal Home Loan and not the bank.
So
Mike did follow up and
did.
he asked some questions, but I'm just gonna say, if you can follow up, get contact information for Federal Home Loan Bank.
Okay.
And then get something from them saying until X, we won't be able to provide you statements or whatever verbiage they want to use.
We talked about this before,
No,
somewhat.
no, not as a statement issue.
No, so we had talked about the collateral, I think.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, we always would. So, and that's just something that we really should do. That's it.
The bank should encourage it to be done the right way, otherwise we probably move our money.
And there's a very good, again, I have no reason not to believe they're not, but, I'm happy I'm getting a statement, which shows what the collateral is. It just needs to be done the correct way,
You want to talk about the CD
you.
now too?
Go ahead.
Great. We received a notice of maturity for your CD. It's maturing on July 15th. I gave it to you. I think it's also in the packet.
Got it right.
So I did reach out and get rates. Generations is offering 6 months at 4.5% or 10 months at 5%. My understanding is that there's a desire to keep the money relatively liquid at this point, so we're just looking for guidance on what to do with the CD when it matures next month.
That would give us 10 months at 5%.
Yes,
Which bank,
Generations. That's a special bank.
about where it is, Cuba Lake.
Well,
This is a Generations. right?
this is a
This is the
generation.
generation CD. The 5 months. We can roll it over into a new CD or lock it into our current money market.
Okay, I'm not saying you got it wrong, but you sure you don't have it backwards? It's 5% for,
Positive.
really? They're the first to actually offer more on a longer term.
Actually, there's I think someone else is offering a 9-month at 5% as well. So that 9-10 months for some reason is,
Yeah, we don't see any need for the money for a while. I'm correct?
Well, what we had discussed somewhat recently around keeping our funds a bit more liquid was the timing of reimbursements of the project itself, the repayment of the CCDC loan, and depending on our pursuit of both infrastructure related project around the water line as well as acquisition of new land was, let's not get too tied up with any investments to make sure our funds are, as liquid as possible, depending on what the need is. That's one of the things we do need to probably have a better plan around is what are our cash flow requirements, minimum a year out.
So we would have, and Tracy, you don't happen to have our balances, do you?
we do, well, I have the month-end balances.
Okay,
the May
so
31st balances.
in the money market is about 1.2,
Percent.
no, 1.2
Oh.
million with,
So as of May 31st.
maybe not, maybe I'm thinking somebody different.
The Cayuga Lake National Bank money market was 851,594.
Okay,
What's that?
Where's that bank?
Something, isn't it? We're
What's it?
making great interest on it. Yeah.
sorry, it's on the
Well,
balance sheet.
If the money makers five and a quarter, why don't we just put it into the money? With your great interest plus it'd be looked at.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, the only reason I would say to put it into the 10-month. One, I don't think we have any real use coming up, and two, if the Fed ever changes, that money market will go right down, whereas in the CD will keep it locked in.
Yeah.
So we're
No, that makes sense.
betting not to go against the Fed, really. So
So how much is it, 10?
5, right?
5%.
Let's put it in there.
I like the 10.
And if we, for someone, I can't anticipate we'll need it, we just take the hit, but if we do.
Yeah, 2 months, 3 months interest, so it's it's always successful.
amount anyhow, it's only 200,000.
Look at you.
Only
Like
200,000.
No, I mean, it's a smaller amount here, what's?
Yeah,
No wonder we never balance a budget with you around. It's only 200.
Yep, so do keep in mind that I think.
Keep it up, John.
Oh, my God.
CCDC out of the Cayuga Lake checking, right?
Mhm.
So there is $400,000 missing from that account now. So just keep that.
It's not missing.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it's not missing.
It's just not yours anymore.
I'm saying it's-
I said.
So wait a minute, what have we got?
So
So we still
the,
have one
I
point two
gotta
million.
check, it's not missing.
no, it's not missing.
It's more than that.
It's just no longer there.
1.9,
What-
1.8.
Right, and 1.5 of it is, 1.5 is liquid, it's in two checking, one money
Yeah.
market. I mean, that would be what I would recommend, but it's up to. the board.
I'd second it. Yeah, motion? All right, I'll make a motion. Second. Discussion.
Well, we're gonna have discussion. The-
All in favor?
Why not add to it?
Oh, sorry, okay. Discussion.
Why not add to it?
Interesting thought. I don't have a problem.
I mean,
Considering.
Make it a half
I mean, look
million,
at the numbers. I mean, double it and then heck with it.
make it a half million.
Right. Another 400, at least 400,000.
Your recommendation is we bring that CD up to,
450.
a second, I'll amend my original motion.
Because like you said, if the Fed changes, that CD rate's gonna,
It's not a
I
bad
mean,
idea.
money market rate's gonna drop.
I
You
was
good with that?
just- but-
Yeah, then you're okay.
Oh, I told you.
Okay, further discussion?
Where would you like that?
Well,
Let's take it out of
Point,
CLMB.
Mike's point's well taken. You know, especially with Ben saying, maybe we should, have the treasurer or somebody come up with a long-term cash flow and,
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you and I
Sure.
could, and Tracy could sit.
you know.
Well, that would be good, seeing how our fate is potentially tied to CCDC, which can really create a completely different budget and cash flow.
Oh, that's all that.
Okay. Okay.
You get the motion?
So I think-
Crazy, I'm
I think Ben's motion was to increase it to 450, seconded by Andy.
Yes. Discussion, yes.
Don't matter.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
I don't know if the legend voted on that CCDC thing.
Anything
I
else?
know
Tracy?
nothing about it.
All set.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So
I-
move.
I'll second.
Discussion to the treasurer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unfinished, carried. Update on the good old sewer line.
All right. So you heard my notes earlier related to the ESD grant, as well as our need to get in touch with water and sewer around the dedication agreement, but we do have Steve Mirren on the line to provide other updates here. Steve, floor is yours.
Hey, everyone. We've got a slight delay in NICEAG, as we probably could have expected. We're about 2 weeks out on the transformer being delivered, and then that'll be another week to install. So we're about 3 weeks away from having power to the pump station. So at that point, once we get power, we'll be able to do the soft start. The generator's still on board for July 10th shipment. And I'm working with Highlander. They've sent their third solicitation for the MWBE to the ESD. I requested them to send copies of that to me to forward on to you as well.
Thank you.
Steve,
Yes,
do the, testing or the soft start or that, could you have, Cayuga County Water and Sewer notified? They
Yep.
probably would be in attendance.
absolutely. Yeah, we're still
Thank
probably
you.
a month from that.
So generator is July 10th.
Yep.
So then we think middle of August or.
Middle of August, that, yeah, generator should be up and operational. So by July 10th, when the generator shows up, we should have power, assuming NICEAG can get their transformer delivered and installed. Apparently it's coming from Plattsburgh.
So July 10th, August 10th, so end of August, Steve, you're comfortable that this is all set?
Yeah, as assuming that the deliveries are not delayed again.
Okay.
because everything else is set up and ready to go. We're just waiting on power and the generator. So,
All right, so it's just power and generator left, and that's it.
Yep.
And CMI is okay with the timeline, as far as you know?
Yep.
Okay, all right, not that they can do much about it, but like we can't, so, okay, thank you.
What did we agree on for the penalty clauses?
I'd have to refer back to
I
that.
thought we went to. Julie?
What's the question?
Penalty clauses on delay. I would have to pull up the agreement to see what that looks like.
Well, we
I remember.
extended. though,
We
right?
extended it, yes,
Because of the,
generator,
Because of the generators.
well, generator and the asphalt plant. Yeah, I thought they couldn't do something,
For the road,
road or something, they were covering over something,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, they wanted to. I forgot, but I think they wanted to wait to.
yeah, they wanted to wait for the, bring that power across and coordinate with the pavement for the parking lot,
Yep,
for the milk plant.
Yeah, that might be a point of interest in a couple of months, Mike.
Okay.
any other question? Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
thanks, Steve, yeah.
Commercial broker update.
And this item here was tabled from our last meeting. And I believe part of the discussion on this is probably better kept to executive session, to provide an update I received from Gina on this item. So,
Sounds good.
Doug Wayne property.
similar, I believe this is also, probably better set for executive session.
Business county presentation.
Yeah, on this item here, as I mentioned, this was included in your online packet. Just to save on paper, I didn't have it printed with the regular packet, but there's a handout here. I can resend you the presentation itself. If it passes everyone's sniff test, to move it along, I'll get in contact with you, Ben, tomorrow or early next week to hopefully get on the agenda for the
No, you're
July.
on the agenda.
I'm already there.
You're
Okay.
on the agenda.
Okay. So I'll just leave that there then for you guys to send any feedback or say start from scratch and redo this thing. Happy to do that. So,
I know I reviewed it, the PowerPoint and, you know, I've done that not as, kind of as detailed as I wanted to, which is
Okay.
I was looking at it here, but I think it looks great at that, you know, my initial review of it, there was nothing that I was like, oh, I'm gonna send feedback. I think you did a great job with that.
thank you.
So,
So trying to keep it high level as discussed during our governance meeting was to build on our relationships with government itself. And part of that is just providing some education and introduction to the planning committee from there. So we may also use this for other presentations, including the town board of supervisors, and it might also be good to tweak it, to drop it in our site for any interested parties as well. So
Upcoming event.
aside from the presentation itself, which would be July 10th, 4 o'clock, I think all committee meetings are at the Ag Museum right now.
Right now, yes.
Yeah. And for anyone who hasn't completed it, AVO training, there is 2 different slots in July 12th or the 24th, both from 9:30 to 11.
I did mine. So,
Okay. If
Doug,
Doug
Yep,
could
Doug
send
said,
it, that would be great, so I can add that to our files as well. If you need help getting set up, just let me know and happy to do so.
hey, we need executive session.
Before we go in there, I'll make a comment on this presentation. Make the Auburn Community Hospital one twice the size.
Okay,
that's, you know, maybe you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's.
I agree.
Big, big.
Yeah.
Motion for an executive session, the
I'll move. Second.
land acquisition. At the least.
There's no reason for Steve.
No.
He can
No.
do what he can.
All in favor?
Okay.
Thanks, Dave. I
Thank
was
you,
actually
Steve.
Just sitting there.
Thanks, guys. See you next month.
Take care.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're in.
Are we